course. Of course. Of course. Of course.
Oh, okay. Oh. Daniel Naroditsky.
The chess gods have answered our prayers and paired Vladimir Kramnik, Vlad the Implier, with Danya Naroditsky in the latest Title Tuesday in November. It's round 9 of the late tournament. What a game this is. And with the black pieces, after Danya goes e4, we've got the current world champion opening with pawn to e5. The first time they've clashed since Vladimir accused Danya of cheating, not accused, obviously a million times. What an exciting game, mouth-watering, and yes, you guessed it, there's a procedure to come. It's all on the way. Bishop c4 from Danya. We're in a Vienna game here. This pony develops d3, and now I love this. On move 4, we get bishop c5. The Jenga tower on the c file is completed. Vladimir Kramnik unlocks dinner for 2 with Hans Niemann. What a lucky guy. And after bishop g5, Danya developing with a whoosh, we see this one kicked back, retreating, and now d6, more dark squared pawn play takes away the retreat of the bishop. That's why Danya goes knight a4, breaking this commonly understood chess principle. Yes,
Der Springer an dem Rimmer ist ein absolut Wiener Schnitzel.
But he's about to pick up the bishop pair, which we now see after it retreats. Captured. Always take towards the centre, generally speaking. Of course, every single chess rule is made to be broken. You soon discover when you become a general manager. And now we see knight e2, clearing the way for the f-pawn to rumble soon. Bishop e6 is now played, and bishop b5 a very common idea. Why? Well, you retain your bishop pair. Sometimes you might even go c3. Bounce the bishop back with the support of the queen, bring it back to say c2, bring it into the game later on after d4. Deep stuff like the Mariana Trench, but we see captures played instead, saddling Kramnik with the double E's, but it isn't much to speak of in terms of opening advantage. Game is roughly level, very similar to Magnus Carlsen's exceptional cycling posture. Look at him go. So both players now castle. We see pawn f4, Danya yelling rawr. Now we see captures, knight takes, and there's no time for g5, forking these two minors because the knight crashes through on e6, forking these two in response, and it's better for white. So queen e8 is played, covers the weakness, comes onto the light squared complex, and now a committal decision, but certainly not a bad one. You've got to do something. Bishop takes is played, simplifying the game, but allowing the queen to then come streaming out, connecting the rooks. Knight d4 for the counterplay, and you have to be a bit careful. Rook f2 is the best defensive move here, but if you go c3, thinking okay, you hop, big deal, I do something like this, then you're backpedaling, where you going? Well, you run into this and you've gone to fork town as black, population white. So don't do that, a trigger happy c3, but what you can do instead of rook f2 is this very tricky knight to h5. This is what really sets apart players like Danya, Ali Reza, even Hans Niemann a bit these days. They find these very tricky blitz continuations. So mate is threatened, and if you take here, well, you actually activate the white pieces in a very nasty way. You start driving back the knight, you set up the big center. It's a dangerous attack. So no takes was played. Instead, great awareness from Kramnik. He goes rook g6, using the queen's support, kicking this one back. So Danya retreats all the way back home to the starting square. The cannons are absolutely ashamed. What are you doing back here, mum? And it's really nice calculation, however, because this knight is no longer attacked by the black queen since the rook blocked it. Therefore, you don't have to worry about these distraction tactics and then your knight dropping, that kind of thing. So instead we see pawn e5, making way for the knight to backpedal. The engine preferred bishop b5, or queen b5 rather, to hit this pawn. Okay, we're not all ninjas. Now we see knight g3. c3 was way more natural, but Daniel already decides to bring that one back into the game. Franken knight, and after queen a4, very weird looking move, we now see the game just get a little bit interesting because the pawn's under fire. We see c3 therefore advancing, the queens leave the board, rook recaptures, knight e6, and after a3 defending, knight f4, Danya explodes in the center and the pieces start getting dislodged. I was maybe telling a few porkies there when I said interesting. I'm possibly stretching the definition of interesting chess, but hey, it's a hell of a fight and I love the finish here. So h5 is played, preparing to discombobulate this knight, and then crash through on g2. So captures here. Now the knight's about to drop, so recaptures is forced, and rook d2 now played. The master blaster covering the second rank, you know, in the event of this. So Kramnik just goes king h7. Sometimes the threat is worse than the execution, especially in blitz chess. And after knight f5, voluntarily getting out of dodge, rook f8 is responded with, and it's a great move. You simply activate, hit a nice open file here, and you can look at some defensive ideas. g3 on the board, attacking the knight, not a true threat to take though, it's pinned to the king. So Kramnik responds with rook f7 here, and now you should go knight h4, best move according to the Stockness monster. Hold the pawn structure as it is, makes sense. But Danya lashes out with h4, not a terrible move, but he gives up this juicy, chunky g4 square. Kramnik sinks his teeth straight in, and now with the e4 pawn under fire and g6 on the way here, things are getting a bit hairy, especially after king h2. Mistake. It threatens to take the knight, yes, but you're actually helping that one improve with a kind of tempo, because the rook's now attacking the pawn, defended, but now a seahorse is born. It's about to drop, you know, attacked twice, and if you go like this, very natural, covering the pawn, then you run into g6. Other good moves as well, by the way, but this one's simple to understand. You've now set up this big old tower of power here, but it lets the pawn drop. Black is of course hugely in the driver's seat after that, a pawn ahead. So instead of going for the meat defense, and before it's going to drop, Danya lashes out. Yes, it's taken here, the knight crashing through, but Danya's prepared an absolutely wicked, devilishly tricky response. He unleashes it on Kramnik now. He plays the stunning knight h6. What is that? Have a listen to Kramnik's reaction.
Don't get it. Knight h6. What is this knight h6?
So he's stunned right now. What is going on with that move? We have to ask ourselves the obvious question. Why can't you simply take that knight? You know, you've put it on a square it doesn't belong on. Well, this is the point. You opened up the tension here, so you simply win an exchange. It's good for white. Okay, taking no good with either piece, but hang on. Can't you just win an entire free rook? Yes, you can, and it's what's played by Kramnik. However, technically, taking here with check first, forcing recaptures was better. Winning a pawn, a little Zwischenzug in between
mushrooms,
and then going for the rook. But okay, missed on time, being low, time trouble. This one now drops off the board. If you take the knight, then white takes the knight on e4. So now Kramnik goes for the whole concept of, okay, grab a pawn first. And here again, you have to counter-attack the knight. You know, the rook's under fire, so no time to take the pawn, or you lose here. You're a minor piece down. So that's why we get this one sliding over. You take me, I take you, and it's how the game continues. Best continuation as well. Stockzilla approves, but not of this move, rook f3. You can see rook f7, slightly stronger. Then you slide around to e7. Push this one, it's a huge distraction, but this was played, allowing this one to drop, but then winning two pawns. Sounds great, but then this one drops and it's all getting a bit weird. That one given the question mark, whatever, we're going to ignore these ninja lines, crack on with the game here. King g6 from Kramnik, and surely everyone and his dog is taking on b6 with check. We all love yelling check, but no, not played. Danya now plays a move weirder than Fabi's deep analysis outfit that he puts on special weekend occasions. He goes pawn to b5 here, very unexpected, completely throws Kramnik, and he should respond with check, king goes, and rumble back with the rook. Cover your weak base, and then you can even slide to e6, push the pawn. If rook e7 to prevent that, well, the king can start marching in certain lines. This kind of thing. We won't go down the lines here, but it wasn't played. Kramnik already pretty much pre-moved. He doesn't quite pre-move right, but he'd prepared this one. Suddenly runs into this one now dropping, and things not so simple. If you find rook f3 check and e4, still doing well, but missed. He goes for this one behind the pawn, but the h-pawn's running and he gets a bit spooked. You know, if you now take, are you really coming back in time and everything like that? If the king runs back, then this one runs in, starts munching. So he now switches plans, comes behind that h-pawn there, but now we get rook b7. An exchange of prisoners here. King f4, super aggressive, but the rook is well placed. The king sidelined, and this white monarch gets aggressive after king to g3. And the problem is that although Kramnik is a pawn to the good, with the b pawn so advanced, the king powerfully placed, one of them now drops off the board, and we get this sequence. Both players pushing their pawns, but soon we get an exchange of prisoners. You can see where it's headed. The game not the way we wanted it. We wanted bloodshed, but it doesn't happen. Draw agreed here, but the best part is this. Look at Kramnik's performance in this tournament. He's even questioning it himself by his own metrics here. He's left with absolutely no choice but to do the procedure on himself.
And trust me, it's an absolute banger. It's a game changer.
Mushrooms.
Banger.
Mushrooms.
Procedure.
Mushrooms.
Banger.
Lock. This is first what I do.
And not just that, he adds his names to the naughty list, puts himself on the Kramnik scrolls. He's on an official timeout here. Who knows where it's headed next? Keep an eye on his X/Twitter, right, for the latest developments, or subscribe to Epic Chess. Either or, do help my self-esteem, really needs a boost. Thanks very much for watching, hope you enjoyed, and check out the video on screen for another incredible game between Danya and Kramnik. Cheers.